Guys, real quick before you watch today's long range, I actually went through and I'm inserting a new clip here. I'll go into a very detailed analysis on everything today. I really try to get really specific and really break down actual weather data, science, research, and what we do. This is a long video today. Strongly encourage you watch it and hope you watch it with an open mind. And if you have any questions, hope you reach out to us via the application or email. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey guys, good Thursday morning. It is just after 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Michael Clark here with BAM Weather with your latest agricultural kind of analysis, long-range outlook today. Had a lot of great feedback on yesterday's video and had a few folks that were frustrated with yesterday's video. I'm going to try to dive into more of my reasoning and my thought process to yesterday's video and also give you the latest weather forecast updates as well. Okay, so I want to assure everyone that watches these videos that if you could see my desk and what we do here, like we are just constantly researching and you know, there's Kirk over there. Say hi to Kirk. Kirk's over there researching. We have meteorologists all over the place in this building researching. Okay, we're constantly looking at research. We don't have a dog in the hunt. We don't prefer an outcome over another. We just show you what we find. It's scientific evidence. It's scientific data. We're really passionate about that. So it's frustrating when people seem to believe we want to lean one way or the other for a particular reason. That's not the case. It would do us no good to lean right or left on an outcome of a forecast. It would not benefit us in any way. It's very important that you guys understand that because it's the truth. You're paying us to tell you what the weather is going to do and how it's going to impact things. And that's what we're doing. Okay. Here's a look at radar this morning again. Just before 10:30 Eastern, it's raining pretty good across portions of southern Minnesota. It did this morning, west central Iowa, and portions of Missouri. Missouri getting rain. Hasn't gotten rain in a while. North Dakota up there, up into the Canadian prairies, also seeing some rain as well on the southern end. Looking up here, a nice little thunderstorm cluster coming through up there, bringing some rain to those folks. Much needed welcomed rainfall. We had the updated drought monitor come in this morning, and the 4-week change it's alarming, as no question. We've gone suddenly dry, and the current drought monitor on the right would certainly support and indicate just how dry it's been, especially across the Ohio Valley. All right, and going out through portions of eastern Nebraska into Kansas, Missouri. This is where the heart of the drought is right now, and it's really basically through the heart of the Corn Belt. But you can see the change, the 4-week change. It has at least indicated improvements trying to happen. Now, southeastern Nebraska, southern Iowa, northern Missouri out here, yeah, you've gotten drier. But there has been recent rains. Okay, there has been recent events of precipitation. This is a look at the last 14 days. Now, again, it depends where you're at. Okay, if you're in Michigan and much of Indiana and Ohio, it hasn't rained, right? If you're in portions of Illinois, Missouri, it hasn't rained. If you're out here across eastern South Dakota and north central Nebraska, you know it hasn't rained. You look in other places and there's been quite a bit of rain. If you take this area, the western half of it, and then you go over here, this is over 1 inch of rain the last 14 days. There hasn't been really over 1 inch of rain anywhere here. And we've had decent coverage of that here. Regardless, it has been a record dry stretch. It's also been a little bit cooler where it's been the driest. I'm going to get into this. But let's talk about the overall pattern going forward. Here's what we know to happen. We know the pattern is changing. I can tell you that for certain. The tropical forcing is here in the Indian Ocean right now. It's going to migrate and propagate into the eastern Pacific Ocean. You can see it. This is where we are, days 1 to 7. Primary area of upward motion, primary area of downward motion, sinking air. Week 2, roll it forward, EPS. All right, now the Indian Ocean is dealing with sinking air. We'll put an X there. The Pacific Ocean has rising air. It's shifted. Okay, this is going to cause a shift in the Northern Hemisphere pattern all across the board. For example, here's the first 1 to 5 days of June, massive ridge overhead. Shuts off all moisture supply, forces it in other directions other than the Midwest. You just don't get moisture, it shuts it down. That's where we are, and we're really changing here as we speak. That ridge is pulling back. This is the current 1 to 5. This is where we were to start June, by the way. Current 1 to 5, that ridge is pulling back, as I mentioned. Also note North Pacific. Okay, now it's replaced with a big ridge. That's going to correlate to a big June cold front, probably around the 23rd or so. It's going to bring cooler temps in. By the 6 to 10 day period, this feature, it's gone. Right here, see this? It's responsible for all the dryness. It's no longer there. Now by the 6 to 10, what's happening is you've got a ridge to the south, you've got this trough to the south and west, and you start pumping in disturbances up and over the ridge. And moisture can now get in from the Pacific because the block is gone. Right? Now there's a trough in the east. It's cooler too. Okay? So, what does that mean for rainfall? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's the next 48 hours of rain. We're coming up on the tail end of not seeing precipitation risks in the eastern Corn Belt. We have some potential here for rain in the Dakotas, east Nebraska, west Iowa, west Minnesota, down through Missouri. It's raining right now. Okay? Here's the wild card, or the tricky part, or the challenging part of the forecast. All right, this is the next 7 days. On the left, this is a blend of over 100 different weather models. Okay? On the right, similar, this is the National Weather Service's Weather Prediction Center. They also use a blend of several weather models. What we're noticing is there are gaps and holes showing up in the precipitation forecast in the Ohio Valley. The blend of weather models is heavier, has more rain, around an inch or so the next 7 days. The WPC, which is a different method, it's still a model blender. Don't get me wrong. This isn't, someone's not drawing this map, by the way. They don't paint colors on a map. This is automated computer model data that computes a forecast. Okay? And the way that this is calibrated is it's showing a drier potential here in the Ohio Valley. Lesser rain. Now, the term lesser is key. Do I think it just doesn't rain in the Ohio Valley? I don't think that. I do think that it can and it will rain. The amount of rain is what we're questioning east. Now, the further west you go, let's back it west into Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. Solid consistency you can see amongst both methods of an agreement and good rainfall. Circle the area where there's really solid agreement. Southern Indiana and Illinois too, right? Look at this. Very, very similar in terms of orientation and where that heaviest rain's going to fall. So week 1 precip, we feel pretty good about that. Okay? What do we think for week 2? The only place we don't feel good is the Ohio Valley. I would encourage you to check your local videos as we get closer for that. We'll nail down the specifics there. What's week 2 looking like? Well, here's the analog package across the top. 1998 is leading the way in the automated analog data plotter. It automatically plots analogs, the computer, based on the pattern it sees that matches a year the best. Humans don't make these maps. Okay, I think a lot of people think humans paint these maps. They don't. These are automated data maps driven off of statistics and computers. Okay? So, with that said, this is the week 2 analog, again with a strong 1998 push to this. Wet across the top, seasonal, maybe slightly warmer than average in the Corn Belt, warm down to the south. Okay, look at the North American Ensemble Forecast System. Probability here of being slightly warmer. We talked about the mid-June warm-up. We've talked about it all week. Precipitation have a slight probability to be above average. That's because of the flow pattern that we think happens in week 2. Here's the flow pattern. Remember the big North Plains ridge? It went away. Remember that? Now we're left with, we've got some blocking, but now we have an opening here, a trough in the west. Southern U.S. ridge develops. Again, flow pattern across the top. That's why that analog's wet. That's why the models show chances of precipitation in week 2. Okay, here's your week 2 forecast on the right, using a blend of the European and the American model ensembles. This is both of them. All right, here's the temperature profile in the Corn Belt week 2. Seasonal. All right, week 1 overall, pretty chilly. Next 7 days, well below average in temperatures. Now, week 2, this is the precip forecast, which stands to, we think, actually have the potential to maybe trend a tad wetter with that flow aloft. I think the week 2 forecast might not be wet enough. Regardless, it's 65 to 100% of the normal precip in the Corn Belt. What does that mean on a how much rain are you going to get? Well, in the month of June, that means you're going to get somewhere between 0.7 to 1.2 inches of rain. 0.7 to 1.2 inches of rain if you take the ensemble verbatim. There's rain chances in there is the point. It's not a bone dry, it's not going to rain pattern. It's actually wetter than week 1, right? But however, note, still precip chances in here in areas that have been dry. When you say in week 1 that an area that hasn't had rain in 3 weeks can get 97% of the normal precipitation, that's 0.9 of an inch of rain. Just because the map isn't green doesn't mean it doesn't rain. Understand that, okay? Now, when we go out here to the northern plains, because the front's coming in, you are going to start turning a little bit drier here for a time. I still think there's moisture chances up and over the top in week 2 out there. All right, so if you haven't lost me, this is the extended part of the video where I want to talk about what I talked about yesterday with the weather and the corn yields, okay? This is a look at May. This is May of this year. This is how dry May was. May was historically dry across much of the Midwest, the Great Lakes. Historically dry. Driest, one of the driest we've seen. Right next to 1992, right? We'll talk about that in just a second. In fact, 1992 currently ranks as #1 dryness for the Corn Belt for April and May. But this was the temperature profile. Pretty warm in the central U.S., cooler in the east. Check out what happened in May of 92. That map on the far left. It basically didn't rain in May of 92, by the way. Okay? May averages, the month averages 4 inches of rain. This color table's maxed out at -3. Look at the temperature profile. It was warm in the Midwest, cooler in the east. Look what happened in June of 1992. It basically didn't rain there either, by the way. It was cooler. The pattern was cooler. Remember, week 1, week 2, these are seasonal to cool temperature forecasts. Okay, it was still dry. Then we go to July and it got completely soaked. Well above normal precip, double the normal, really. Okay, look how cool July was. Remember, I talked about an all-out pattern change coming. Big North Pacific trough, big cold front coming late June 23rd. So I think it's going to really knock temperatures out, knock them down cooler than what they already are cool. I mean, outside right now, this morning it was 49 degrees here with humidity values in the 30 and 40% range. It's cool outside today. It's June 8th. All right, now I'm in Indianapolis, but my point is, 92 started very unfavorable. So we took the top 5 Corn Belt driest April and Mays. Here's what they are. 92 by a long shot, by the way, over 1.3 inches drier than number 2, which is 2021. You've got 94, 97, and 05. Well, you take all those years and you put them together in an analog package because they were very, very dry in May. Alarming dry. People are concerned dry. That's how dry they were. It's the driest ever. Okay? Then you look at, what did those years do in June? Well, hey, believe it or not, they were actually dry. Drier than normal. And June is starting that way. I don't think it finishes that way, but it started that way. Okay? Look at the temperature profile. Warm across the top, cool across down south. What happened in these years in July and August? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's the analogs. cooler than average, very cool, when you take these years and combine them, and it started to rain quite a bit in July. Okay, in some critical times of the stage of the crop. All right. Now, those 5 years were trend line or above trend yields. Okay, now, I can't guarantee that's going to happen this year, obviously, but if you look at it from a weather standpoint, I don't need emails and phone calls about how there's more to growing a crop than the weather. No kidding. I totally get that. I think everyone here knows that, right? But just because May is dry and June started dry, it just does not mean that it can't be a good crop, or it won't be. It just doesn't. Science proves it right here. Okay? So what am I saying? Here's what I'm saying, that yes, it has been dry. Yes, there's going to be a northern plains area of concern that will miss out a little bit on the rain. I still think they can get some in week 2. Cold front's going to come through. These years got cooler and they got wetter, especially in 1992. And I'll tell you, in 1992, the tropical forcing pattern was very similar to the one right now. So when I look at this, final slide of the day, when I look at this forecast, this is the next 2 weeks, precip over an inch. American ensemble, European ensemble, precip over an inch. Remember, we're going to start getting into where the timeliness of rain matters and not the departure from the normal amount of rain. That's going to be critical too, because it's not hot. We don't have heat waves coming. It's a big difference this time around, guys. With that said, the 15-day departure from normal, using all of our computer models, 103 ensembles, I tossed in the Canadian on this one too, shows that the Corn Belt the next 2 weeks is going to run anywhere from about 60% to 100% of the normal. That means that there is rain in the forecast. If you see a color on here, it starts at 1 inch. Okay? The European would suggest the better rainfall, European ensembles say the better rainfall is in the southern part of the belt. The GFS is wetter across, and I think the GFS has merit because of the flow for a time next week where it's going to be north and west aloft over the periphery of the ridge. Long video today. Long video. I hope you watch it. I hope it makes sense. I hope you understand. You know, again, I'm just trying to show you facts, actual observed outcomes with very similar situations. So, hope you all have a great day. If you have questions for us, reach out to us at any time. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.